Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
To our viewers in Lagos and around the world, we welcome you to Enterprise Friday on Enterprise TV. It's the day we like to say, thank God it's Friday, and certainly one of those days when I find myself on this side of the conversation. I'm Cyril Abaku, and just about now we will serve you what the news headlines are saying. In the studio with me this morning, I beg your pardon, to give us insights into what the headlines are saying, I have Mr. Emeka Madunagu.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Madunagu is a journalist and publisher of Metro Star online newspapers. Mr. Meka, once again, it's a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure, yes.
All right. So we would like to go very straight and quickly into what the headlines are saying. I have here this morning Daily Trust, Punch, The Guardian, and of course, The Nation newspapers. Let's begin with Daily Trust, Emeka. It says, low turnout. That's the banner headline now. Low turnout. Lack of cash. Ma FG's 50% discount for travelers. You wouldn't imagine that with a freebie of this kind, people will still, there will still be a low turnout, and lack of cash is still a problem.
Yeah, it caught people unawares. Don't forget, people had already made up their minds whether to travel or not.
Yeah.
And then don't forget that even that the fares had been, if the government had moved earlier, this wouldn't have happened. You can imagine, okay, from Lagos to Onitsha, that's between 15 and 25,000, had already been hiked to 30,000.
Yeah.
And then you are now coming to offer discount of 15. That's, you're talking about, I mean, ordinarily it should be maybe about between 7 and maybe 12,000. But what have you done now? You've allowed them to hike it to 30,000. So instead of somebody just coughing up 7,000, he has to cough up 15,000. Then on the way, they will stop to eat. He will eat on the way. He will still buy certain things for people in the village.
Because it's Christmas.
Because it's Christmas. Then he will still come back. And he's not sure whether he will get a vehicle to come. So a lot of people are just right now hoarding their money.
By the way, this is for those going, not even going and coming.
Well,
the
complete journey is when the person goes and
comes back.
Yes.
But what the argument said here was that we are targeting 5 million Nigerians.
It's an assumption. It's an assumption. But they didn't tell us how they arrived at 5 million Nigerians. Because I do know that we have a population of 200 million. And then around this time of the year, those from the southeast and south-south form the bulk of people traveling. So you find out that even from other places, from the south-south, there are southeast, there are people also traveling, in other directions. So the point is that, you see, low turnout, yes, cash. The cash scarcity is a major problem. So what people are doing is just to keep money for January. Because, January has more than 31 days.
When you even talk about people keep money, that brings us to the other question, the other rider on the story. It says low cash scarcity is also a problem.
Yes. So people, when they get cash now, they are not thinking of traveling.
Because that we are now buying the naira in Nigeria once again.
Yes, unfortunately, we've not really made up our minds. Do we want a cash-based economy, or do we want to use do we want to use more of technology? We need to make up our minds about which one we want. But right now, we're a cash-based, largely cash-based economy. So for now, people are just want money to move from day to day. They want to be able to commute even within their space. So you can imagine, for instance, for me, I had to go and look for some money, cash. I had to go and look for some cash, even though I paid extra, but I looked for some cash. And I gave my wife, I said, listen, this is it, to move around and all that. I don't have a POS, I don't have a bank, I don't operate an ATM. Just let's see how we manage this up and down.
Yeah.
Moving, buying things in the house, and at least to enter into January.
Yes.
I don't like cash. I don't like working with cash. But there are things you cannot there are situations
the
where
economy
you can
hasn't grown to the point where
yes.
Brings us to the other story. The man many Nigerians would like to look at as the villain or the architect of the whole, from the currency, is it recolorization or redesign?
Redesign, yes.
To the cash crunch, which followed the event eventually. This story says CBN investigator uncovers 593 foreign accounts open, now in quote, opened by Emefiele, over 543 million pounds in UK fixed deposits, more in USA and China. Additional infractions discovered in Nigeria. I mean, even if this had a tinge of truth in it, one is wondering, the former CBN governor, was he building a war chest or what?
No. First of all, 543 million pounds. That's good news. That's good news. So it means we can suspend borrowing for now. Yeah. Let's pump the money into the economy. First of all, they are holding on to Emefiele fine, so that maybe if there is more, he can show them where it is. But for now,
so that's a lot of money.
543 million pounds.
Converted to the naira should be in trillions.
Bring it into the Nigerian economy first, so that at least we can have less tension. Distribute the money to different areas of the economy. Because it doesn't make sense telling a hungry man that you discovered 543 million pounds in accounts run by Emefiele. The man is not interested in that figure. What he's interested in is that I don't even have food to eat. So it's between you big men, just banding figures. The point is that, you see, the way people run public office in Nigeria shows that we are still a long way away from responsible conduct. Yes. People just think public office is, you don't even find this kind of chaos among, I said it one time, among market women. Go to any market, even women who sell pepper. There's orderliness. Yes. You can't just do anything. You can't just set your words anyhow. There's orderliness. But you find in places with people
of
who
high
you expect well-learned, who should be refined, you see disorderliness. Yes. The other time it was the Accountant General of the Federation, 190-something billion. How come people just have access to such money?
To be able to loot back that much?
We need to really look at our laws, our fiscal regulations, to make sure that people cannot just dip their hands, into our treasury and move money. That is one. Let's look at the other side of the argument, which is on whose behalf and at whose behest was he keeping this money? Yes. Was he running these accounts? We have to look at that because we know that successive governments
and perhaps those in the system who also were able to, because of course I wouldn't imagine that Emefiele could have all by himself took his pen, put a signature and just packed all the money. There should have been enablement within the system.
No, have you forgotten? Was it the permanent secretary who made, was it 13,000 checks or so in one day? In Nigeria here. Signed, was just signing, but made sure that the money was below the threshold that could trigger the interest of the EFCC and ICPC. Yes. And was just signing. Was it 1,003 or something? Signed in one day. So people have just become just keep getting more and more callous with the way they handle public funds. So that's why you find our creditors saying that Nigeria is not a poor country. The problem Nigeria has is managing the resources it has. Leadership, yes. We even have more money than we need in Nigeria. I tell people, if we sit down and look at the quantum of resources, what we produce, is it oil, is it solid minerals, is it even the human beings, the talent and everything? Nigeria should actually be lending money
but I like
to other countries.
When you said that perhaps there are those for whom or on whose behalf he was keeping that money.
Of course, slush funds.
Yes, and that
from government to government is something.
To imagine 543 million pounds. That's not cheap. The other stories on the front page of the Daily Trust is Port Harcourt Refinery begins operation after Christmas. That's according to the Minister of Petroleum, Heineken Lokpobri.
You mean the Minister of State, yes.
Yes, Minister of State. 88% of Nigerians self-employed. That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. NNB supporters resort to prayers as Supreme Court reserve judgment in. We will be discussing the Port Harcourt refinery in our main conversation segment, so we might as well skip it for now.
Okay.
Let's move to another national daily. Let's see which one we have here. So we can move to The Nation. The Nation leads with Emefiele, ex-minister, 14 others indicted in CBN probe. We just talked about that now. 11 Supreme Court justices designate may be sworn in next week. That because, of course, obviously, yesterday the Senate screened and approved all 11 nominees of Mr. President. Cash crunch, CBN, lawmakers, 1FG, 1 agents, okay, banks, farmers linked to shortage. Well, to attempt to push the blame, I mean, CBN, lawmakers, 1 POS agents, banks, farmers linked to shortage. So this is like saying the shortage is not from source, it's from the banks and POS operators.
Which POS operators?
Could anybody really believe
Go
this?
to any bank, go to the banks closest to you, bank branches closest to you. You see crowds there. Many of them are POS operators.
The banks will tell you themselves that they are waiting for cash to come. And I'm thinking, will the banks print the money, or they're waiting for the CBN to send them the money?
You see, what I suspect is that, even I don't have proof, but from my knowledge of the financial system in Nigeria, I suspect that in trying to push the new Naira out, Emefiele may have ordered the burning.
Cardoso, Emefiele.
No, Emefiele.
Okay.
Emefiele, when he was CBN governor, may have ordered the burning of old Naira notes. Maybe they burnt Naira notes to the point that when that redesign was reversed by the Supreme Court, they naturally had a shortage.
Yes.
But the thing is that they've been managing it. Because how do you come out and tell Nigerians, for instance, that maybe the CBN burnt 2 billion Naira? Somebody was telling me a story about, how some CBN staff, an auditor, normally they burn, from time to time, they burn old Naira notes. And they went with some security agents to burn it. Normally the security agents will keep their guns away. And that the official of one agency was saying, or one of the security agents was saying, because each box contains 20 million Naira. So he brought out the money, they brought out the money from the box to burn the notes. And the security agent was saying, you mean you want to burn this money? But this money is still good now. Give me some. He said, no, that I'm an auditor, I cannot do that. I even learned that there was one occasion where a policeman was saying, if my gun was here, I will shoot you. How can you burn money? I need money. Give me some of this money. So you can see how desperate, life and living have become in Nigeria.
Well, because of time, we have to really run. Tinubu will make Nigeria safe. That's according to the Minister for, I think, Information. Ekiti workers to get 15,000 Naira wage award for 6 months. And then, of course, the First Lady is doling out 25 million Naira per state to senior citizens. Passengers overwhelm free interstate Toyota train service. Well, this is coming from the Nation newspaper. To wrap this up, I think we will just take one more national daily, and then we'll call it wraps on the paper segment. Let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian says Nigeria, the making of a human rights abuse haven. That's quite a chilling one. The making of a human rights abuse haven. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Kano Guba case. Additional wins of Afro Leadership Prize. Again, NBS pegs unemployment rates at 42% amid business closure. Reps summon Sirica over Nigeria Air project. Passengers stranded at 50% transmission rebate scheme stalls. The guy that says stalls.
Something that was
so this
supposed
policy
to
was
yesterday.
announced 2 days ago, and now it's already
stalled.
Well, what time it is? Then reps consider semester-based fees for tertiary institutions. I mean, the stories go on and on and on. But Emeka, I know you're pressed for time yourself, and you need to be somewhere else. But we would come back shortly to take our main conversation segment. But Emeka, I have to thank you for sparing some moments to be with us on the first segment of Enterprise Friday today.
Thank you.
When we return, Port Harcourt Refinery begins operations once again. Let's talk about that in some detail. Stay with us.